The city of Fayetteville is changing how residents and businesses recycle. Starting next year, the city will move to a cart-based system, which it says will be cheaper and will get more people involved. 5 News reporter Lauren Spencer tells us all about this new plan.
Right now, only about 40% of Fayetteville residents recycle.
We're optimistic that this program will increase that participation rate to 70% or higher.
Well, soon those familiar green bins will be a thing of the past. The Fayetteville City Council has approved a shift to single-stream cart-based recycling.
We have a lot of recyclables that are continuing to go to the landfill, and that's because our current program doesn't scale well to multifamily residents and to commercial businesses.
Instead of sorting items into small bins, residents will toss everything into one large cart, just like trash collection.
It's also going to be better for the residents and businesses in the city because it's going to offer greater convenience and greater access.
But before the switch happens, there's still some work to do.
We've got to order new trucks. We've got to order new carts for everyone. We've got to do a request for proposals to select a processor to process our recyclables. We've got to design our education and outreach campaign.
Not everyone was sold on the idea, especially those concerned about contamination.
You might have done a really good job recycling, but maybe your neighbor didn't, and there's a dead animal and there's dirty trash and and all this, and you just contaminated the whole compartment.
Environmental Director Peter Nierengarten says the city has a plan to tackle that, starting with education and technology.
It also includes monitoring and feedback, so that's those smart cameras on the trucks that'll take a picture of the recyclables and let folks know if they're putting the wrong material in their cart.
In Fayetteville, covering news where you live, Lauren Spencer, 5 News.
The department says it'll have the program ready to launch by the second quarter of next year. A Florida man will spend the rest of his life in prison after being found guilty of drug possession in Crawford County. Derek Scudder was arrested in Crawford County in September of last year after taking off from the Oklahoma Highway Patrol during a routine traffic stop. Troopers recovered more than 240 pounds of methamphetamine, more than 2 pounds of fentanyl. Mayor of Prairie Grove announcing a new community benefit for the family of the 2 victims in the double homicide at Devil's Den State Park. Kristen and Clinton Brink were stabbed to death 11 days ago while hiking in the park with their 2 daughters. Mayor David Falk said on Facebook today the benefit event will be held September 6th. He says the Bean Boys will be serving food and there will be items for auction. All funds from the event go to the Brink family. In the meantime, the mayor says anybody can donate to the family's memorial account at Priority Bank in Prairie Grove. 2 Sebastian County Sheriff's Office deputies have gone back to work after being stabbed in May by an inmate at the county detention center. Jacob Marr and Brandon McCaslin were working at the detention center on May 9th when John Cole stabbed the deputies. McCaslin was released from the hospital that day while Marr had extensive injuries. He underwent surgery and was moved out of the ICU 2 days later. Cole was sentenced 3 weeks after for 2 counts of attempted capital murder, along with a separate murder charge for killing a Fort Smith man. He was sentenced to 200 years in prison. A new Arkansas law that requires the 10 Commandments be displayed in Arkansas public schools is now in effect, at least for most districts. However, a federal judge issued a preliminary injunction blocking the law in 4 districts where families are suing. Those districts are Fayetteville, Springdale, Bentonville, and Siloam Springs. First Liberty Institute, a nonprofit law firm supporting the law, argues the commandments should be displayed because they are historical of America's legal tradition.
It played one role. It was not the sole foundation, but played a role in shaping the laws of this country. So it's important that students are educated on the history of our nation and where we came from.
Americans United for Separation of Church and State represents 7 families from different religious backgrounds. They say the law violates constitutional protections. The group believes religion should be taught in private settings, not in public schools.
If you are a real scholar of history and you study what our country is premised on, you will find that church-state separation is not only a foundational promise in our Constitution, in our First Amendment, in Article 6 that says no religious test for public office, but it is so firmly what the founding fathers wanted.
For now, the injunction only applies to the 4 districts involved in the lawsuit as the case continues in court. The Arkansas Department of Transportation says an historic bridge in northwest Arkansas is temporarily shut down. The Beaver Bridge, or as many know it, the Little Golden Gate Bridge, closed down today after a crew found a structural issue. RDOT says a repair crew will arrive tomorrow to begin prep work, and repairs will start Monday. They said it'll likely take longer than a week. Now, the bridge is on Highway 187 in Beaver. It will stay open, though, to local traffic only, going both ways. You can visit our website at 5newsonline.com for information on any detours in that area. United Airlines flights at multiple airports across the country are grounded at this time. United said in a statement the group's stop is due to a, quote, technology outage issue. The issue is impacting major hubs like Chicago's O'Hare, Denver, and Houston. They say United Express regional flights are not affected, but many may be delayed going into bigger hubs. The exact number of delays from the ground stop is not yet known, but are in the hundreds and are rising right now. President Trump has imposed an additional 25% tariff on India. The additional tariff follows his previous 25% tariff on Indian imports. The White House calls the new tariff a necessary and appropriate punishment for India's imports of Russian oil. The president also just imposed 100% tariffs on computer chips, which some say will likely raise the price of electronics, autos, and household appliances. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Russian President Vladimir Putin met in Moscow today, what's being called a highly productive meeting. According to sources, the president plans to meet with Putin as early as next week. However, setting a meeting for so soon poses logistical issues and may not happen as quickly as some hoped. That meeting will be followed by a trilateral meeting with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. President Trump trying to help broker an end to Russia's war in Ukraine and has issued a deadline for Moscow to agree to a ceasefire or face more sanctions. Those secondary sanctions, including a 100% tariff on Russian oil bought by other countries, will start on Friday. A Fayetteville attorney responding to sanctions placed on him for using AI. Tony Pirani of Pirani Law was just fined just millions of dollars in a racketeering and conspiracy case. Well, now he's an even deeper hole because the judge says AI used in Pirani's court filings presented false information. 5 News reporter Bo Russell spoke with the attorney today.
Multi-million-dollar fine comes from a jury verdict in what's being dubbed as a hearse-chasing lawsuit. Pirani was found liable for the solicitation of clients at funeral homes by sending people known as runners to find clients for wrongful death cases. Pirani says he had no knowledge it was happening.
I have always tried to emphasize and be clear so that people know that I had no idea that these people existed. I certainly had no idea that they had any connection to this case whatsoever.
According to an order by U.S. District Judge Timothy L. Brooks, Pirani violated federal rules of civil procedure when he used AI to create and electronically sign court filings that contain citations to cases that don't exist and quotes of non-existent passages. Pirani does admit to making this mistake.
I was completely unaware of that, or I never ever would have even attempted to use it. And I am more remorseful and regretful about this than I could possibly explain. I'm embarrassed. I'm mortified. I've been practicing law for going on 20 years. I've built my reputation.
For much of 2024, Pirani says he was in the hospital dealing with a fungal lung infection, which is why he says he used AI.
I even had to participate in a hearing in front of Judge Arnold from my hospital bed while I was in the hospital being treated for these life-threatening infections.
As far as the racketeering case, Pirani says he had asked for a continuance because of his health issues. Court documents show the judge denied the request, saying that while Pirani was dealing with his illness and that case, he still chose to take on new cases.
It was Bo Russell reporting. Now, Pirani says he plans to argue in a formal response why he should not be hit with more sanctions, including fines and a referral. The plaintiff in the case, attorney Jason Hatfield, responded to 5 News' request for comment, saying, "We pursued this case for the benefit of grieving families and the honor of our profession. I'm proud of our case and the trial team presented, and I'm thankful for the jury's careful attention to facts and law."